moving on to fact or cap. And the first one that I've got for you is Orlando are a genuine playoff threat. Fact or cap? Straightforward, pretty simple.
I'm keeping this short and sharp. I think they are a potential playoff team, obviously, but the word threat, I don't think they're a threat, but I think they're a playoff team. But I don't think they're causing any damage to the teams above them, that being Brooklyn, Philly, Miami, maybe New York, the Bucks, Celtics. I think there's too many teams who I have over them to be a threat. But
even the Pacers, even though the Magic dispatched them the other day, but I don't think it was on a back-to-back. So, I mean, yeah, when the Pacers play their best, I think Orlando runs into a steam train there. A little bit biased, but I'm just saying, like, yeah.
Heck, like, the core that they have, they could be a threat.
Yeah.
Franz, Paolo, yeah, we all know that. We know the team that they do have, and yeah, certainly they could be, but just right now in their sophomore and third years, no, not yet.
100%.
I'm moving on. Fact or cap? We are underestimating Phoenix Suns' full potential when fully healthy with Brad, Bill, Booker, and KD on the floor, and yeah, we're just underestimating how good they are fully healthy.
I'm gonna say fact, only because despite the fact Bradley Beal hasn't been, available and ready, I think now the continuity, the chemistry that this team is starting to get, they're gelling. Adding Bradley Beal to the mix, eventually, hopefully he gets over whatever his ailment he has, this lower back complaint that he's got going on, which is kept. Yeah, so it's pretty concerning. But I mean, if he does get back on the court consistently throughout this season, it's only going to add another layer of complexity to NBA defenses, having to try and grapple with career best KD, arguably Devin Booker in peak form, and Brad Beal as well. It's just going to be an absolutely absurd task for NBA defenses, and as long as the other guys in that depth chart can contribute and just carry their weight, they don't have to be like superstar level performances. The guys like Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon, Josh Okogie, guys of that nature, when the numbers called, just step up, then they don't need to do too much, because when those big three are on the court together, even if it's just KD and Book, the way they're playing, I give them every chance against any team in the league. But again, it's a big question mark how the long-term health of this team is, especially with KD, the injury that he did have a few years back, which he's obviously looks like he's gotten over. Devin Booker obviously had that early layoff as well. And yeah, Bradley Beal is probably the most concerning out of the three of those players. So I'm going to say fact, they are very scary when fully healthy, and their full potential can definitely be reached, but there's still a couple of asterisks there. But at the end of the day, I think they are going to be right around that mark come the playoff time. Fact or cap? Alperen Sengun is going to be the closest thing we see to Nikola Jokic.
I'm going to say, this is controversial. I'm not saying he's the next Nikola Jokic. There's never got to be another Nikola Jokic, but I think he's going to be, the closest thing we've seen to Jokic in terms of his skill set. I'm not saying he's going to be as good. I'm not going to say he's going to be an MVP of our league or a future NBA champion, but the skill set that he has, I think you could go on the routes of an Al Jefferson, like passing bigs, or a Marc Gasol or Pau Gasol, but the volume of assists that he gets, I don't think it's more than those guys. And I think Jokic is the next thing. And I think at Alperen's age, Nikola wasn't doing what Sengun is doing. So I'm going to say fact. But I if people give me hate, I could see why they give me hate. But at the same time, I think, for someone who I wasn't super, super high on like you were when we did that top 10 center list, he's definitely proven me wrong. And Alperen, I did not expect him to be this good. And you were fully getting on my case. You're like, there is no way.
Yeah.
You do not think Alperen is top 10. And we were having like damn near that's probably the first time I don't think we've had arguments, but like if there was an argument, it would have been about Alperen.
I was like, you have to put him in. If you don't, I'm gonna come.
And I didn't put him in.
Yeah, I know.
So
now you look like you got egg on your face now after that.
Exactly. So I mean, I'm gonna be wrong sometimes, but yeah, I mean, you could kind of see why. Like I wasn't. It's because I looked at the Rockets, I'm like, they suck.
Yeah.
So obviously someone has to do what they do. But yeah, definitely not empty stats if that's even a thing.
100%.
Because he's killing.
But I was going to say there's two statistics that, he's surpassed two records he's surpassed the last couple of weeks. The first one is the youngest player, or youngest center, I should say, to record 500 assists in his career, surpassed Jokic on that mark. And he's the youngest player in Rockets franchise history to get 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists in his career. Think about the kind of big men, the kind of centers that they've had, Hakeem Olajuwon, and the great players that have gone through this organization. Yeah. Clyde Drexler, who else can I rattle off here? Ralph Sampson, James Harden. Obviously, he wasn't there because he's not going to be the youngest player because he wasn't there at the ripe old age. Or he's a bit more of a ripe old age, I should say, rather than really young. But in terms of, the kind of young talent that they've brought in from, earlier drafts, it's incredible. And the big one that sticks out to me that he surpassed is obviously Hakeem Olajuwon. The fact that he was able to put up those numbers before Hakeem and all that sort of stuff.
Hakeem could pass.
Yeah, exactly. Underrated playmaker, one of the best big man playmaking, or one of the best playmaking bigs, I should say, in NBA history. So, yeah, unbelievable start to Alperen Sengun's career and to start this season off. So I think, I have to agree with you on that, and that's why I brought it up.
Okay, so the next one, we saw with the Popovich and Kawhi video, Paul grabbed the mic and was like, you guys will not boo Kawhi Leonard. We do not treat our former, whatever he said. Basically, he was telling Spurs fans to not boo Kawhi Leonard because he brought them an NBA champion. Maybe he didn't bring him, but he was a finals MVP there. You could argue he played, not lockdown, but, he stopped LeBron.
Played a significant role nonetheless.
Yeah, and he's a champion there. He was one of the all-time greats there. Basically, Pop did the right by Kawhi and what he did for the franchise by saying do not boo him. It's like disrespectful. But I guess fact or cap, if you've done the significance that Kawhi has done to the city of San Antonio, you shouldn't be booed when you come home to that city. So that, I guess we could go the route of KD going back to OKC, LeBron going back to Cleveland, Kyrie going back to Cleveland or Boston, or maybe not Boston because he didn't win it, but Cleveland. Basically, fans shouldn't treat their champions like how they were treating Kawhi.
I'm going to give you two answers here because I can't really it just depends which route you take. So fact, in the sense that if you've done right by the franchise your entire career, and yes, you've achieved a lot of great things, but the way you left the organization was a bit of a question mark. Like LeBron, the whole thing about the decision, like having to go on TV, KD joining a 73-win Golden State team. Who else can I? Kyrie Irving, saying to, even about when he left the Celtics, obviously he wasn't there for a long time, didn't achieve much, but saying
he would come.
Yeah, like that sort of stuff, that kind of behavior across the board. If you're doing that and then you go back, I think you sort of deserve the boos. But in terms of like, you achieved great things within an organization, and for whatever reason, we don't know the full story behind what happened with Kawhi at the Spurs, and the medical team. But at the end of the day, he was a pivotal part of, winning a championship for that city. He's a pivotal member of that franchise for years to come, and, his legacy will forever be cemented in San Antonio Spurs history. So for me, I personally don't like the fact that they booed him, and he's a likable guy. Like, he's one of those...
Sacrifice his role there too. So
100%. So I think... fact in the sense that if you've done right by the team and the way you left there wasn't really like super question mark or super obvious question marks regarding how you left. But then if it's, like I said, a case like LeBron, KD, those kind of ways that you went about it that could have been better, then I'll say, cap, go for it, boo them, fucking hurl abuse their way. Obviously, as long as it's respectful, not like to a point where,
death threats.
Yeah, nothing stupid, but like I think booze, it's harmless in my opinion. Like, wow, it's like it's a part of sports. But I just think to certain individuals, like Paul Pierce, for example, I don't think Boston fans, I don't know if they did boo him, but when he went to Brooklyn, or when he was playing for the Wizards, I don't think they should boo him because like he didn't
traded.
Exactly. It's not like it was his choice to go and leave that organization. At the end of the day, he got traded. He was willing to be part of the trade, but I don't think he said, "Oh fuck Boston, I'm going to Brooklyn, I'm going to Washington, blah blah blah." No, this is me. So if you had the option in the 2020 draft, this is a bit of a different one, but if you had that option in the 2020 draft with the, this draft class, 2020 could be an all-time draft class for guards, who are you taking? Hallie, Ant-Man, or Lamelo? Carmelo Ball. Lamelo Anthony.
Oh, damn, this is tough. See, I think longevity in career, I know it's short, but I think Lamelo so far has had the best career since being a rookie to now. Hallie's had the best, if he continues, which we assume he will, this whole season, he's probably had the best individual season. But then Anthony Edwards has had 2 now, like MVP caliber season this season, and then the season prior All-Star. So who would I take if I'm building a team around a player and I want to win an NBA championship? That's what we're kind of going with. I'm probably going with, because you put a good team around LaMelo Ball. For me, it's out of LaMelo or Hallie. So I need to really think about this. You put a team around LaMelo Ball with a bunch of all-stars. I'm going to say Tyrese. I have to say Tyrese. I know if that's your answer, it's your answer. But the fact that I've seen it visually, Tyrese put up the numbers that he does put up, like 50, 40, 90, really good from beyond the arc, and like on a range of like a lot of attempts as well. And the fact that he has limited turnovers, which you could use against LaMelo Ball as he turns it over more. And he's a willing scorer. He takes over games in the clutch. And that's a thing that people question. I don't know why. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with LaMelo just because I've visually seen
Hallie, you said.
Yeah, sorry, not LaMelo. Hallie, because I've visually seen him lead a team so far, 2 wins, and largely because of the role that he plays in transition, shooting, limited turnovers, everything that he's just been doing has been terrific. So if that was your answer, it was your answer. But yeah, for me, taking Hallie.
I know I would take Hallie personally because obviously favorite player. He's been my favorite player, in the league since he came into the league, and followed him in his Iowa State days. Got the receipts to prove it. But to play devil's advocate, I'm going to make the case for Ant-Man, and the only reason I say that is because he's the true definition of a two-way superstar. Like he plays both sides of the ball. I think Hallie, yeah, he does get deflections. He gets steals. He's active on that side of the ball, but I think with his frame, he is a bit slight. I think that's going to maybe hold him back to be the best defender unless he puts on some size and, a bit more strength. Defensively, he can sometimes be attacked and like targeted on that side of the ball, but he still obviously contests well. He can block shots. He can use his length and long arms to obviously, make life tough for any guard that's trying to, put up a shot against him in terms of closeouts and shot contests. But Ant-Man, that outwardly athleticism, the fact that he's a gym rat, I'm not saying the other guys aren't, and especially Hallie, I know that every year he works on something in his game and improves on facets of his game. But with Ant-Man, I just think, 6'6", built like an absolute tank, jumps through the gym. That jump shot's getting better and better every year. The next phase with him will be to advance more as a playmaker. He's shown great improvement this year. But in terms of going forward, I think if he can improve his playmaking a little bit more, shot selection at times, picking the right shot, being more efficient with it as well, I think Ant-Man's got a hell of a lot of potential. Not saying these other guys don't. Again, I think I want to say Hallie so badly, but I just want to show that I'm not biased and I can view it from another perspective. So for me, Ant-Man, just because he does have all that superstar kind of aura about him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and to your point there, if we're basing this off building a championship team, I mean, Steph Curry's an anomaly. He has a point guards. You probably went with the best route because, we've seen this time and time again. I guess shooting guard, you could put Ant at the small forward. I mean, Kobe, Jordan, D Wade. If that doesn't tell you enough about building a team around a shooting guard, I don't know what does. So, I think that's probably the smartest route to go. I don't know why I went in the route. I don't know why God gave me the hardest path, like LeBron would say. But, I mean, both are justified, but I definitely do think now looking back on your pick, you probably went with the best, the safest pick.
I wanted to go Hallie, but I'm just you know what? I'll play devil's advocate in this situation. And
you convinced me now, sitting here thinking about it, his skill set. So,
But then you see Hallie drop 26 in a quarter, and then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, literally. I'll kick this one off. The last fact or cap of it's been a long ep, probably a bit longer than we would have expected. I know you have a party to go to, and yeah, I feel bad because I feel like I've been talking too much. But
Nah, that's all right. It's not your fault. It's Mr. DJ in the background pumping the tunes.
you're literally not even good.
Yeah.
You're not good.
Give it up, mate. Just go out and just listen to some proper DJs
Get
spin
a
the
hobby,
deck.
bro. Get an actual hobby. Like, it's actually annoying. But we're finally on the last one, and I guess this one surrounds Trae Young. And basically what I'm saying is that Trae Young is a phenomenal player. Before Trae Young fans come at me, I'm going to give him his credit because it's true. I mean, he's a multiple-time All-Star. He's taken them far in the playoffs, I guess. But I guess his inefficiencies, I know we talked about Cade last step, but that is, he's a star. But I think with his inefficiencies and the volume of shots that he takes, that's holding him back from being an elite level star in this league, I guess. Like a Luka.
Elite level superstar, yeah.
Like a Luka or like a Tyrese or like, the guys who we put on the top echelon, even Ja Morant. I think if you're taking like 35 shots and you're shooting like 30%, 35,
36, 37.
it's just not a good look. And I don't think teams are going to want to build around you for as long as, people might assume that they would, whether that's the Hawks or another team. Yeah, I just think that's holding him back from being such a great, great player. He's already great, but I'm talking like superstar.
I think the thing with Trae Young that I always look at, and I'm like, if you're inefficient but you're 6'6" or 6'5", it's one thing, and you can kind of get away with it because I feel like you can possibly, your defense might be there, or you're able to get to the rim or whatever. But because he's 6'1", I feel like sometimes in his own head he's like, oh, I need to pull up from like 35 feet.
I need to show these guys that my game's like different to everybody else.
Yeah, but it's like at the end of the day, it's still worth 3 points. And yes, it does stretch the defense out. And yes, by taking those shots, the defense has to play you higher, meaning there's more spacing on the court, which is why he can distribute the ball at will and why he's one of the best passers in this league. But just his shot selection at times and questionable shots in the shot clock when, I
would hate playing with Trae.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the thing that separates him from the being like in that top echelon, like we said. And I think if he can brush up on that and change that over the course of his career over the next couple of seasons, I think maybe that comes down to playing as maybe a second option, playing as a first option as a second option alongside a guy who maybe is in that top echelon. If you play with a guy like
Joel,
for example, like something like that, maybe Joel doesn't accept that kind of shot selection and
on the post,
And like I said, I don't think you want to take away from Trae's confidence because I think that whole side of his game is all through the way he plays. He's got that chip on his shoulder. He's got a point to prove, but sometimes I think you got to pick your moments. You got to pick the right time to let go. And he can take over games. We've seen it clear cut. He drops, 40 points at will like it's nothing. But then you look at the box score and you look at how many shots he's taken to get it, and his deficiencies on the defensive side of the ball, and defenders attacking him and whatnot. We just talked about Tyrese Haliburton, being possibly targeted on the defensive side of the ball. He's 6'5". At the end of the day, he's still got length. He's still got.
Teams are never going to give up on Tyrese.
100%. Whereas
Trae, like we've already seen, he got cut from Grant Hill from the USA team, who works at Atlanta, and then he's just always in trade talks. And I'm not against Trae. I just think like eventually the Hawks might go a different route, and it's sad to see, but.
I still think he's a top 10 point guard. And I want people to make that well and truly. I want people to be aware that we make that well and truly clear that he's still in our top 10 point guards in the league, and he's an elite level player in this league. But if he wants to take it to that next tier, that S tier as they call it, I think he just has to learn to take the right shot sometimes, make the right play on certain possessions, so that. Not more can be said, but I want to say fact on that one. But in terms of his overall production and what he does on the court and how great Trae Young is, that's not to be questioned whatsoever. So I don't want people to get it twisted. But yeah, I just think to be a part of that elite level guard play, like an SGA, like a Luka, players of that nature, Tyrese, Ant-Man, even Ant-Man's not efficient, but even he makes the right play sometimes, you know, as opposed to Trae Young.
Wrong as a playmaker.
Yeah, 100%.
Trae's already so good at that,
But what more can you say about that? And at the end of the day, I think he can turn the corner, but it's just all about, you know, not letting his ego get in the way of things. But with that being said, that does officially wrap up episode 3 of Beyond the Box Score.